Hello EFD squad and welcome back to the Euro Roundup, and this week I'm joined by Doogie Critchley.
Hello, back.
Fresh back from the Piste.
Yes,
How was
exactly. It? No, it was good. It was good, a lot of fun, bit of sun, a lot of snow. I was skiing and took a week break from football pretty much.
Did you fall over at all?
I did. I had quite a nasty crash on the first day on my hip.
Was it funny for observers?
It was quite funny. I think my mum was slightly alarmed because I went over pretty hard. But yeah, got back up and all was fine. All was fun, but no leg breakages, nothing like that. So no, good to be back.
All right, well I'm glad you survived it. But who did not survive this weekend in the Bundesliga?
Very good, very good. That's Borussia Dortmund, and this came in from @CG14F, and that's because they were smashed 5-0 in Der Klassiker, which meant that Bayern Munich leapfrogged them into top spot for the bully. BVB actually started really well. They had the game's first big chance. The Hood hit the post after 5 minutes. Probably should have done better, but it was good work from Thomlinson on the left. But Bayern were well worth the scoreline in the end. In the first half alone, they had 15 shots and 9 on target, compared to their opponents' 3 and 1 on target. No wonder they were 4-0 up at half-time, and the camera cut to Lucien Favre about 5 minutes before half-time, looking completely shell-shocked, didn't know which way was up. And Bayern's total dominance was reflected in XG as well. The game was 4.4 to 0.5 in their favour. Kovac's side, understandably, took the sort of foot off the gas in the second half a bit, but Dortmund were still far inferior, not even hitting the target once. In fact, Robert Lewandowski managed twice as many shots as the entire Borussia team, with 8 in total, and got his 200th and 201st bully goals, becoming just the 5th player to reach that landmark in the Bundesliga. It also took him to over 20 for the season, the 7th time he has done so in the last 9 Bundesliga campaigns. So great work from Lewandowski against his former club, but Borussia Dortmund all at sea, Pato.
Yeah, I mean, this is the disadvantage when you have very young players, that quite often you do get these mistakes in big games, and Zagadou had a really bad... I mean, for Lewandowski's first goal, he tries just a flat pass across the defence, and Lewandowski just gets into it, nicks it away, lifts it over the keeper, and then kind of does like a flying scissor.
It was a really casual, just like, oh, I'll just volley this in.
It's an absolutely ridiculous goal. But Zagadou also went on to get booked. He managed a 73% pass accuracy, got pulled off at half-time.
I'm slightly embarrassed as well, because I suggested him for an Atletico Madrid replacement.
I mean,
just a few weeks ago.
He's still 19,
club.
Isn't he?
I know.
I mean, he's a pretty promising defender, but it
wasn't his day.
I don't know. They could have conceded more, to be honest. Like, there were set pieces just looked like a danger all game. Hummels could have had a hat trick of headers from corners in the first half alone. He had 4 shots in total, the same as the whole Dortmund side. And with Paco Alcácer, they kind of lacked a bit of a focal point, Dortmund. They had to have Royce kind of step in at centre-forward. That's the first time this season he's done that, and it meant he didn't have the space to run at people. But yeah, I mean, like, as you kind of said, in the first half, Bayern just blitzed them in attack in the first half of the game, and then in the second half just shut it down. And they didn't get anything. They barely had the ball. They didn't even get any breakaways. Like, it was really, really disappointing. Royce, Brunlasen and Sancho attempted one. None of them had a shot, rather, in the entire game.
Wow.
Not a single one between them. And Sancho, 0 key passes, completed just 40% of his dribbles. Borussia Dortmund now a point behind Bayern and minus 15 behind them on goal difference. 6 games to go. Obviously, though, Bayern do have a tougher run in.
Yes.
With Leipzig and Eintracht Frankfurt still to play. So, what do you guys think? Can Dortmund pull this one out of the fire, or is it gone again? Let us know in the comments below.
Come on, Dortmund. Right, so before we get into our first loser, if you're new to this channel, welcome, welcome. We do this all the time, regular sort of shows like this and many others as well. Please hit that subscribe button if you're new to it, and hit that notification bell to never miss a video. But let's get into our first loser, which is Atletico Madrid, and this comes in from @Bikram, series of numbers and letters. Not a good day for Atleti, Pato.
Yeah, they lost 2-0 to Barcelona, which really kills dead the tiny, tiny bit of hope they had that they could catch the Blaugrana and win the league for the first time since 2013-14. If they'd won, it would have cut an 8-point gap between them and Barca to 5, but 2 late goals from Suarez and, of course, Messi extended it to 11. Now, they were at a disadvantage for most of the game. Diego Costa got himself sent off in the 27th minute, a straight red for abusing the referee, who after the game told, in his report, said that Costa's exact words were, which actually, to be fair, is quite a common Spanish insult.
Yeah. You probably didn't get much of that because there'd be quite a lot of bleeping, but it wasn't very kind.
I mean, it is quite funny. But Diego Costa has had an absolutely appalling season.
Yeah.
2 goals in 16 Liga games. He's been dreadful. I think his XG is like 0.11 a game. Shocking. And Oblak and Atleti's defence were working overtime to try and keep Barca out. Oblak made 8 saves. Jimenez and Godin made a combined 10 clearances, 7 interceptions, 8 tackles, 3 block shots, but not a single foul.
Wow.
That is how you produce a rearguard action, but in the end, not quite enough.
Yeah, not quite enough at all. Although Jimenez did, I mean, it's a bit harsh to blame him for the Messi goal because it was a bit of brilliance from Messi, but it did sort of slip over in the build-up, which let Godin one-on-one with Messi, and Messi slipped into the bottom corner. But it was a deserved 3 points for Barcelona. They had a whopping 64% possession, which is actually not that surprising, and had 10 shots on target out of 21. So Jan Oblak was doing very well. The star man was obviously Messi, as he always is. He had 5 shots on target, completed 6 dribbles, provided 3 key passes. Okay. His goal was his 33rd of the season.
I mean,
in all competitions, he's now 2 away from beating his record of last year, but has played 14 games less. So in 17-18, he got 45 goals in 54 games. Nice. 18-19, 43 goals in 40 games. And they've obviously got Man United this week coming up as well, so who knows whether he can add to that there.
That's outrageous.
Messi has now won more La Liga games than anyone else in history, which I was kind of surprised about. I thought that record would probably go to Xavi, but no, fair enough. He's moved ahead of former Real Madrid keeper Iker Casillas on to 335 victories, sorry. And a special mention has to go to Luis Suarez. He's really come into his own in the last 2 months, rediscovered his best form, and he broke the deadlock with a truly sublime finish, curling a pinpoint shot from 25 yards out. But the big talking point for this week, Pato, has got to be Man United Barca, which we're doing a live stream for on Wednesday over on FD. Pat, do you see any hope for United?
Where is the first leg, Doogie?
It is at Old Trafford, I believe.
I don't. Because even in games they've won recently, for instance, like Man United gave up a lot to Watford. They gave up a lot to Wolves defensively.
Yeah.
And now they've got to face Messi, who is in his best form of the last couple of years. I think it'd be a bloodbath. Like, I think Man United have got enough in attack to trouble pretty much anyone, because they also cut through Wolves and Watford when they wanted to, which says a lot about their attack. Those are 2 good defensive sides, but I don't know. Even if they score a couple of goals, it's hard not to see them getting blitzed at the back.
Yeah, I tend to agree. The die-hard United fans will probably point to Barcelona's conceding 4 against Villarreal last week.
Sure.
But that was without Piqué. Piqué came back for this game and was excellent.
And Santi Cazorla. Man United don't have a single player as good as Santi Cazorla.
Yeah, exactly. So we sort of predicting a bit of a battering, but who knows. Tune in on Wednesday. On to our next winner.
Okay, our second and final winners of the week are also from Germany, and it's Eintracht Frankfurt. This comes from @Josef or Joseph, but there are lots of unnecessary letters in there. 98. Dukes, what happened with Eintracht?
Yeah, it was a great result for them. They beat Schalke 2-1 to stay 4th in the league, 4 points above 5th place Borussia Mönchengladbach. They went 1-0 up within a quarter of an hour thanks to Ante Rebic, who had a great game actually. Yeah. But Serda pulled it back after just 8 minutes later, However, Schalke were always on the back foot. They gave up 16 shots to their own 6 and lost Serda to a second yellow card in the 94th minute for a handball, which has to be given. It was a handball, but I've got a lot of sympathy with him. It was a cannon of a shot, and his arm was slightly outstretched, but it felt slightly unlucky.
And it comes past one guy. I don't know. The handball rules are hard to follow now.
Yeah, I think they are changing it to if it's outside your normal sort of position of your body or how your arm should be, but it's almost impossible to jump without raising your arm, so it's a weird rule. But Luka Jovic then took the penalty after a long delay 5 minutes later. His 17th strike of the year, and that's the second best in the division as well. That now makes it 15 games without defeat for Eintracht. Their last loss came on the 22nd of December at the hands of former coach Niko Kovac's Bayern Munich. This streak, which has included 5 consecutive wins, has put them 4th in the Bundesliga and into the quarterfinals of the Europa League even. So good for Frankfurt, but Schalke's disastrous year sort of continues, Pat.
Well, they cannot defend this season.
Yeah.
I mean, after being pretty solid defensively last season, it didn't help that they came up against Eintracht, because Rebic, Haller and Jovic have produced 40 goals between them in the league, Incredible. Out of Eintracht's total of 56. 56, by the way, is the 3rd best attack in the Bundesliga, behind Dortmund and Bayern Munich. But those 3 in particular are the ones who cannot give space and time. And obviously Rebic made the breakthrough in this game, and then Jovic finished it off. Schalke, their attack is truly abominable this season. 29 goals they've scored in 28 games, which is somehow only the 4th worst record in the Bundesliga.
There's some trash in there.
I was like, 29 in 28, that must be the worst record or the 2nd worst. It's not, it's the 4th worst. And they've lost 7 of their last 8, conceding 24 goals in that time. Now, the Man City result didn't help with that, but still, they're conceding an average of 3 a game. It's not great. So German press are reporting that currently they're in negotiations with former Jurgen Klopp assistant Željko Buvac, who was linked to the Arsenal job, you might remember, to take over from interim boss Hub Stevens in the summer.
I think he was always known as the brains of Klopp.
I think everyone says that about every assistant coach, don't they? They're like, yeah, he's the real brain.
Yeah,
like Mike
who
Phelan,
knows? But
he's really Ferguson.
He's a very highly rated coach, though, Buvac, apparently.
Yeah, he was definitely involved in kind of the initiation of counter-pressing in the German league, and so it seems like this might be a really progressive appointment. With Schalke's resources, so long as they beat the drop this season, then maybe they can rebuild. But beating the drop is not a foregone conclusion.
No, it's certainly
They're
not.
just above the relegation zone at the moment. They were last relegated in 1988, but their final 6 games include Hoffenheim, Dortmund, Leverkusen, resurgent Leverkusen, and fellow relegation battlers Stuttgart, who are currently in the relegation playoff spot.
God.
So I'm not all that positive about Schalke's chances going forward, but what do you guys think? Will they get relegated or will they stay in the Bundesliga? Let us know in the comments.
Surely not. Right, on to our final loser, and it's Lyon, and this comes in from @Daphne88.
Yeah, Lyon managed to lose 3-1 to Dijon this weekend and fall further away from a guaranteed Champions League group stage spot. Absolutely bonkers match. Martin Terrier put Lyon 1 goal up in the first minute, but I think by the 7th minute, maybe, they were 2-1 down.
Yeah, I think it was just after that, but yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Wesley Said turned the game on its head. Scored twice in those opening 10 minutes, and it's actually the quickest time for the first 3 goals of a match to be scored in Opta's history of collecting data in Liga.
Wow.
So
it's like 16 years or so.
So it was quite an exciting beginning to the game, but it got sewn up in the 65th minute when Raphael, who's going to be a free agent this summer, scored an own goal, which now puts Dijon up into 18th place. It was their first win in 9 games, and just 1 point separates them, Caen and Guingamp, right at the bottom of Ligue 1. So it's quite an exciting race, both for Champions League football and to see who gets relegated.
Definitely.
Though the teams that get relegated from Ligue 1 are shocking.
Yeah, no, definitely. But before we go on to that, we'll talk about it off camera. Raphael, there's talks of him going to Arsenal, Pat. Would you be pleased with that?
There's talk from George Wright.
Oh, is it just George?
I don't feel like I've seen a single source linking up.
Okay.
But he is...
So George just concocted it up at his desk.
Well, it feels like he has. But, I mean, Raphael, he's an experienced right-back. He's 28, and he's going to be available on a free this summer. So it feels like if you're a club like Arsenal, which needs to economise, then you think, well, yeah, maybe you get that guy in for free. He lasts you until Bayern's back from injury, and then you spend your money in other areas. I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world.
And you keep Lichtsteiner as far away from that team as
You get rid of Lichtsteiner, and of course you can sell Chambers then. So it's not that terrible, I think.
Fair. But back to the game in hand. Lyon have now lost back-to-back home games, conceding 3 goals in each. The first time that's happened since 1982-1983, the year of my birth. Could this be the final nail in Genesio's coffin, though? Jose Mourinho and Rafa Benitez have been heavily linked to Les Gunners, and Aula, the Lyon president, announced that he's pulled Genesio's contract extension from under the table earlier this week. I think it'd be slightly harsh. I think they've been solid under Genesio, but maybe they just need a sort of rebirth. I think they've slightly hit the buffers recently.
They're a bit uninspired.
I know, and for that level of talent, you'd expect they'd to at least be closer to PSG.
You look at some of the people managing not top teams in the Bundesliga. You know, like Peter Bosz at Leverkusen is not amazing, but he's pretty good. And like certainly Adi Hutter, you know, at Frankfurt, like these are guys who are pretty experienced, pretty interesting in their style of play. And yet Lyon is still being managed by Genesio, who nobody particularly likes, despite the fact that you'd have to argue that even taking into account players like Haller and Jovic, they're probably more talented than Frankfurt. They're probably more talented than pretty much most of the teams.
Particularly that midfield and attack, they've got so many options.
I don't really think that Dortmund are a more talented team than Lyon necessarily. Maybe, but I think it's marginal, and it's probably just Sancho who makes that difference.
Sancho and Royce, yeah, you might well be right. But anyway, back to the game in hand. The statistics from this game were pretty remarkable. Lyon had 27 shots to Dijon's 8 and 6 on target to the opposition's 4. Cool. 14 of their shots came from inside the box, which meant that they generated an astonishing XG of 4, the highest they've had all season, but lost 3-1.
Well, I suppose they were down in the first 10 minutes though, right? And
True.
normally when you're down, you tend to produce a bunch of shots, but still, you'd have expected them to get something.
Yeah, definitely. 3-1, crazy. And with a bit of managerial uncertainty and the potential exits of Nabil Fekir, although I don't know who's going to go for him after that knee issue last year, scuppered that move to Liverpool.
Right? Everyone's got a suitor.
Yeah.
Ndombele, Toussaint, Aouar, Depay.
Denier, even at the back, is being talked about for moves.
So many guys that they could. Fulham Mendy as well. Like they've got so many guys.
They've got a lot of options. Yeah, I slightly worry if they don't get this appointment right, and I don't think Jose Mourinho or Rafa Benitez, if they want to, upgrade their style of play, is necessarily the men to get involved. So yeah, a lot of nervy times for Lyon. But Lyon fans, we want to hear from you. What have you guys made of the current situation? Do you guys have things to worry about? And should Genesio be out the door? Let us know in the comments down below.
Now it's time for Star of the Week. This comes from @Balka Rohan. Who is it?
Yeah, it's Iago Aspas. Still going for Celta Vigo. Back and firing for the troubled Galician side, netting twice in a 3-1 victory over Real Sociedad. Aspas has actually been out injured with a torn calf since mid-December before being rushed back and succumbing to injury again in mid-February, so it's been a not his ideal season. But now he's back for good, and though he was still in a bit of discomfort in this game, Aspas has lifted his hometown club out of the relegation spots in La Liga. Has been an awful campaign so far for Celta Vigo, so this is a much-needed return. This is Aspas' third game since his return, well, his final return from injury. Have a look at what he's done so far. So game 1, he scored twice, including an 86-minute penalty as Celta came from 2-0 down to beat Villarreal 3-2. Nice work. Game 2, scores 1 and assists 2 as Celta again came from behind to draw 3-3 with Huesca. And game 3, scores twice in a 3-1 win over Real Sociedad. So for my book, he's earned his side 7 points in 3 games since coming back from injury. So it's, been an injury hit year, but, Aspas can't really be faulted, Pat.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 15 goals this season in La Liga, despite sitting out such a long period. So he is the highest scoring Spaniard in the league, bearing in mind Morata, Asensio, Costa. Like, there are guys there who can get some goals. And with him, Celta Vigo have averaged 1.4 points and 1.9 goals per game. Without him, 0.3 points and 0.7 goals a game. Ooh. That is dreadful, and they need every point they can get. They have just 32, which puts them 2 points outside the relegation zone with 7 games left. Okay. And it'd be a real tragedy if they got relegated, because I think there's a lot of talent at Celta Vigo right now. It looks like they'll probably need to hit around 40 as usual, something like that to stay up. And it would actually be the first time, if they did need 40 to stay in the division, that a team has had to reach it to guarantee survival since 2012.
Really?
So, yeah, it would be a very competitive relegation race. It doesn't start easily, though. Next week, they go to Atletico Madrid.
A wounded Atleti.
And Aspas is suspended.
Right.
Because he got booked for celebrating
Oh,
yesterday.
no.
So, yeah, I guess 0.3 points.
His teammates must be fuming. We need you. You've just earned 7 points in his last 3 games, and now he's booked for Atleti. Awful. And I think Celta Vigo have too good a side to go down in many ways, and I don't want all of them to end up at, Matkins' West Ham as well. Yeah, Maxi Gomez going off to West Ham.
But I don't want Villarreal to go down either. Like, there are so many. There's so much interesting stuff going on at both of those clubs.
I know.
I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I've got no idea who's going to be relegated, but I know that Iago Aspas is an unsung hero of La Liga.
So thank you very much for watching ERU for this week. And before you go, please go and vote in the FBAs. We've been nominated in 4 categories. Joe Thomlinson, Best Influencer, and then a podcast, Football Daily and Eurofootball Daily are up for awards as well. So please go and vote. The voting closes very soon. Pat, what would you like to push to?
Very finishing.
Very finishing.
Head over to Football Daily and check out winners and losers from this weekend for a kind of Premier League spin on the best of the weekend's action. And of course, make sure that you've subscribed to the channel and that you've liked this video, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.